Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavachitamastu ma Yudvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay. So there is a presentation of the metaphysics of Vedanta, or sometimes what is called as ontology, nature of the reality and all of that. So until that point, when we present the fundamental nature of reality, that is called philosophical inquiry, because you're trying to figure out exactly what is my own foundation, or what is the foundation of this universe, the substratum. So, many of the philosophical traditions of the world, they do that. If you see Western philosophy and all, Plato and Aristotle and Socrates and all, they all try to ascertain, figure out what exactly is the nature of this world, what exactly is at the metaphysical level. But what it becomes is, there's the person who is studying that, and it becomes, to that extent, an intellectual inquiry, and in the end, each one feels that he has figured it out, and writes a PhD thesis and whatever, and that is the end of that. But in Vedanta, that inquiry was done for something else. That inquiry was done for a very basic thing. That is, the jiva suffers sorrow and he doesn't like this sorrow. So then he goes back. This sorrow is caused by, A is caused by B, and B is caused by C, and C is caused by D. And you go back all the way and realize that the whole thing is caused by beginningless ignorance. Ajnana, avidya, whatever name you want to call it. It's caused by ignorance. And ignorance of what? Ignorance of my own nature. And my own nature and the nature of the fundamental reality, they are one and same. So in Vedanta, the ultimate objective is really to realize my own nature. In other words, remove the ignorance and know what I am. So the philosophical inquiry is supposed to lead to this knowledge of one's own self, because there is a problem which it is aiming to eradicate. So Western philosophical inquiry is not aiming to eradicate any problem like that. It is aiming to do an inquiry and write a paper. That is it. That is the end of it. So Vedanta, when it gives the inquiry, the nature of reality resulting from that inquiry, it also goes one step further to tell now the science of self-realization, because that was the goal. Self-realization is a way to remove the basic problem. It started out with a basic problem. It is more life-like, because in life we are all engaged in removing this problem and that problem. Like, for example, the big boom of this sound. When we're having, and then we have to try to eliminate that problem. We're always trying to and then the ultimate problem is, of course, sorrow of the jiva. So now, here, the Upanishad takes a turn. That is why we left it there yesterday. About now realizing my own self, and it gives the technique for doing that. Until there is a philosophical inquiry only. But now the, what do you call it? The spotlight. The spotlight turns to one self. Now you see this. Number 13. Yacchen vang manasi prajnah tadyachet jnanamatmani jnanamatmani mahat. Oh, this is that one. Jnanamatmani mahati niyachet tadyachet chantamatmani. So he says, we have to, no, this is to be brought to our own self. He is speaking about the person who is prajna, the discriminating person, one who is viveki, one who is seeking, actively seeking a concrete way to remove this basic sorrow. Not one who just has an intellectual inquisitiveness or intellectual interest in something. So prajna, he has to bring his speech, one, and put it in the mind. Meaning to say what? Well, I have told you before, no? This speech comes out from the mind in stages. Parapashyanti, Madhyama and Vaikari. So actually, these sort of things really involve all the types of sadhana that are given in the scripture. So, you will see Bhagavan Shankaracharya, for instance, saying in Vivek Chudamani, Yogasya Prathama Dvaram Vang Nirodha. And the first door in yoga is the control of speech. Now see, this speech comes out in these 4 stages. The Vaikari, the outer one itself, of talking. If I cannot control at this grossest level, then how I will be able to control at the subtler levels? So, we have to start at this very simple, ordinary level. Trying to talk less and listen more. Talk less and listen more. That is, some rishis say, that is why we have one mouth and 2 ears. We talk less and listen more. So like this, I practice the ordinary sadhana. That's why we tell, learn to speak less. At the grossest level, speak less. And what do you say? Nicely, if you cannot improve on the silence, don't say anything. That is best. So, at this gross level, control of speech, and scriptures talk about it all the time. So I'm saying the basic sadhanas also, they also come into operation. And with that, now the constant articulation of things which we want to say. We have some sort of uncontrollable impulse to say things, especially when somebody has raised the topic. Somebody has raised a topic We have to give our 2 cents worth. And therefore, we stop listening to the other fellow and we start articulating what I am going to say next. You see, all of this is all speech or not? So all of this I have to be able to watch very nicely. I have to be able to keep it. Take care, I'm going to listen to this person. Why should I want to articulate something? Because the articulation takes away your attention from him and you're ready to give your 2 cents worth when he's finished. Sometimes we don't know that he's finished also, and in between we start. So, we'll watch quietly and just listen. This is a good thing. So like that, when we're able to become a good observer of our speech and all, that speech will recede into mind. Otherwise, what is the meaning of take speech and put in mind? You can't just grab the speech and put it in mind. It means I have to become more quiet. And that's why I say sadhana is something that we do alone. Vivikta sevi lagvashi. Vivikta desha sevitvam. How many times Bhagavan uses all such words or not? It's always good to be alone. Ekaki yata chittatma. So many indicators in the scriptures. Be alone so that I have to talk with this one, talk with that one. Find your own quiet time by yourself and all of that. More and more practice. The speech stays quietly in mind. And this mind now, that is chanchal, chanchalam himana Krishna, pramati balavadram, chanchal mind. Chanchal means running here, running here, running there, running everywhere. Mind that is always considering. Today I'm going to sit for meditation. Should I drink my coffee before or after? So the mind is sankalpa vikalpatmakaha, manaha. All the time considering this thing, that thing. And Bhagavan tells, Chaila Jina Kushottaram, that you have to put that kusha grass and their skin and then your cloth and this, and then the mind goes on and on. And what type of cloth? Satin? Silk? On and on, it goes on unnecessarily. So that mind has to be told by a strong, that's why the word is given in the previous. Agriyaya buddhya, a sharp, steady, stern buddhi. In Bhagavad Gita also, shanehi uparamet buddhya dhriti grihitaya. A buddhi which has dhriti, is able to pull that mind and tell quiet. Stay here. So the buddhi puts the restraint on the mind. Don't roam here, consider this, consider that. And I told you that is assisted immensely by that buddhi having proper knowledge. You're running here, running there, thinking this option, that option, and all the different things because you're foolishly thinking. This is the buddhi talking to mind. You're foolishly thinking that thing will give you joy, and that will give you joy, and that contains joy, has a joy content in it and all that. Wrong knowledge only. Buddhi has to be well equipped to tell this mind. Or else what you'll be doing, you'll just be forcing the mind to stay. And when you force it like a dam, someday when the dam breaks, so this mind has to be pulled by the buddhi in this way. So it's telling the reverse process of going in, because this is the way we come out. And Yachet Jnanam Atmani, mind coming under the control of the buddhi like this, or the mind coming to the buddhi, Jnanam Atmani Mahati. The buddhi now realizing, through knowledge, buddhi realizing that I am part and parcel of a big cosmic buddhi. Cosmic buddhi is Hiranyagarbha. Mahan Atmani. The Hiranyagarbha. In other words, actually, we don't usually stop and think about it. We think that we are independent entities unto ourselves, and we have decided where we have come, and we have decided to do this and do that. And really, if you go back and think, you will realize that we have decided very little. Because the Nishchayatmika Buddhi, Buddhi is the one that makes decisions, and the Buddhi is the one that deciphers and plans and calculates and does all of these things, isn't it? This Buddhi's work. And so we thought that we have done all of these things in our 40, 50, 60 years or whatever it is, and so finally we are here. Really, that Buddhi was influenced by every single thing outside. It was influenced by so many things, and all its decision making and all of that sort of thing was influenced by countless things. And if you really inquire into that, you'll see, you will realize that it's better I surrender my doership to the cosmic Buddhi. Cosmic Buddhi is Hiranyagarbha. You see, I'll give you a simple example. Suppose you're an accountant. It is said old accountants never die. They just lose their balance. But suppose you're an accountant, right? Somewhere in some life coming, you were introduced to numbers by somebody. Because the jiva has to be taught numbers by somebody else. Isn't this 1, 2, 3? Somebody taught us to count. And then somebody said, accounting is a good job. Such and such thing will happen. And that fellow was influenced by somebody else. And he tells you also, accounting is a good work, good job. You'll make a lot of money. Or somewhere he's some support for accounting, but he introduced you to accounting. And then when you got there, you can't just study accounting in university. You have to study, then you study other things also. So when you reach to your accounting class, that teacher, that professor was a nice fellow. So because he was a nice fellow, and you know that people gravitate towards nice people. So that was another influence. Your teacher was nice. Then somebody told you, when you finish your accounting, I give you a job. But he was also influenced. Now you have so many incentives to get into this thing. All along the way you were being influenced by different people in so many various ways we don't usually think about it. So this is the cosmic buddhi which is influencing this little buddhi. And in the end, this little buddhi takes credit for everything. He thinks he has decided everything, and therefore he is here. But nothing happens like that in this world. Never happens like that. It's just that we're not very good at mathematics to add up all the things that led to this. So, this buddhi now has to surrender to the cosmic buddhi. And things are going... In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, Svabhavastu pravartate. All things are going on all things are going on naturally. What you can do to realize this? If you were not in the equation, whether the things will go on. Things that are going on in this universe, in the world, if you were not in that equation, whether it will go on, whether it will go on better. Sometimes you become a hindrance in that whole thing also. It goes on. So my little buddhi is just part, actually my little buddhi is a subject to the bigger buddhi in this universe. It just goes on by that cosmic buddhi. So like this otherwise it is impractical. It says, take the buddhi and place it in the cosmic buddhi. How you do? No, abstract things, isn't it? It means surrendering my little buddhi to the cosmic. I'm just giving hints of how to do that. Anyway, so niyat tat yat chet chanta atmani. And now the cosmic buddhi has to be seen as nothing but. Cosmic buddhi has to be seen, understood by me as nothing but an appearance on the limitless reality, infinite self. Chantam Atmanimiti. Actually, as long as buddhi is there, buddhi is engaged in work. It is doing this thinking, reflecting, pondering, contemplating, calculating, planning, judging, deciphering, rationalizing. Buddhi is doing all of these things all the time. But all of this activity, so-called activity of the buddhi, is really happening on a substratum of absolute stillness. That stillness is called Chantamatmani, Shantamatmani. All of this is transpiring, occurring on stillness, on achalatva, on non-movingness, like that. So now, this is the technique. Now I go inside, and even if I don't want to engage in all of these big things like surrendering to the cosmic buddhi, and it's just too much, no problem. You just sit and watch your own mind. This will all happen by itself. You sit and watch your own mind there, and means antakarana, how it is going on, and know that all of it is happening against a background of absolute silence, absolute peace, stillness. That is the idea. So this is really a meditative verse. And there's strong logic for all of this. Huh? Let the antakarana be convinced about the strong logic for all of it. And the simplest one is, I keep telling everywhere, see, if I put you there on that street and I tell you, okay, now you count cars. So you count 1, 2, 3, 4, and the other way also. Right? You'll be able to count. Would you be able to count if you are sitting in one of those cars? You can't count. How you'll count? You have to be still. Then only you can count. Well, if you use the same logic, if you are able to see thoughts coming and going in your mind, the only way you are able to see thoughts coming and going in your mind is because you are still. If you were not still, you will not be able to see thoughts coming and going. So, we use this logic, and I sit there, I can see all my thoughts coming and going. Now this has come, and that has gone. I'm just shaking my head to tell you, when you sit there, don't shake your head like that. And one fellow was meditating and he was doing like that. So somebody asked, what are you doing? He said, I'm trying to catch my mind. I'm going and I'm bringing it back. That all action all over the body, that's why sthiram atmanaha. Bhagavan tells in the 6th chapter, you sit down there very quiet, still. So you have to start with stillness at the bodily level. Then only we'll be able to go to stillness inside. Get the body still. Savam kaya shiro grivam dharayan achalam sthiraha. See? Achalam sthiraha. This is all the body is talking about. And then we'll be able to shantam atmanaha, shanti, the shanta atma, which is pure stillness. It is not that I am still. You see, you're still invoking verbs. I am still. The I and all have to go, and the am verb and all have to go. There is only stillness. Stillness alone remains. Stillness alone is there. So the mantra is this type of mantra which is speaking about really getting back to my own self. This is the solution to the perennial problem of the jiva. When he discovers his stillness in his own self as stillness, the perennial problem goes away. As jiva constantly on a wild goose chase looking for happiness, there. Okay, so when it says to bring all the faculties back, it means just in the end, be in my own self. Be the stillness. Actually, it's all wrong language, but what to do? Be the stillness means you are the stillness already. I told on the first day, we are that stillness already. You see, it's just that we have not realized what we are. That stillness, Bhagavan Shankaracharya describes very nicely. Sarva Buddhi Pratyaya Sakshi, he calls it. Sarva Buddhi Pratyaya Sakshi. That stillness is the background that serves as the witness for all of these things which are happening in the antakarana. It's amazing. See, I'll just tell you a nice little example. Let me see if I can get something. It is there in my hand, right? So, if I remove it, then you say, no, the paper is not there. But the hand which was holding the paper, the hand is still there. So then I remove the hand now. Now the light in which you were seeing the hand, the light is still there or not? But there are no objects now. There was one object and there was another object. I remove this object and this object is also removed. But the light in which both the objects were seen, that light is still there. It doesn't go. No matter how many objects we remove. In the very same way, the buddhi is there, the antakarana is there, and their thoughts are there, and quietly I remove, then I remove. And this buddhi, this antakarana, this all objects, they were being seen in the light of consciousness. They were being seen in the light of consciousness, which if it were not there, they would not have been seen. So when they become quiet, when they simmer down, when they melt away, the light of consciousness remains as it is. That light of consciousness never goes. That light of consciousness is called as Sarva Buddhi Pratyaya Sakshi, the witness of all of these things which are always there. So one uses such a nice phrase. Sarva Vishesha Pratyastha Mita Rupa, he says. Actually, I'm just telling you some of these words because I love these words. He says, it is Sarva Vishesha Pratyastha Mita Rupa. It is that thing. Now see, the light, which is of 7 colors, when it falls on the object absorbs some of the colors and some of the colors are reflected, right? So what you are seeing then is really light coming back to you. But then when you remove everything, the light is there as it is and no color is being reflected back. When you introduce the object, what you are doing is fragmentation of the light into its various colors, because some are absorbed, some are reflected and all that. But when you remove all the objects, the light is there without fragmentation, without differentiation, without distinction. It is as it is. That is the meaning of Sarva Vishesha Pratyastanta Rupa. It means it does not admit of any distinction, differentiations, modifications, and all of that sort of thing. It is just pure, absolute consciousness. Shantamatmana, Shanta Atma. Then Sarvantare. Sarvantare means it is innermost to everything. Sarva word is used. This pure self, Shanta Atma, which is being described in the mantra, is Sarvantare. Sarvantara means that which is innermost to everything, that which is the lowest common denominator of everything, beyond which you cannot go. So you go deeper to atoms, you go deeper to all the subatomic particles, and you go down, go to Shakti, means energy, and you go to energy now which exists. So you go to existence. Beyond that, you really cannot go. The Buddhists took it, we saw in Chandogya Upanishad, they took it to Shunya, which says Shunya also exists. How are you talking about it? Vacuum exists, na? Vacuum exists. And vacuum is the subject you're talking about. So, existence is the final building block of the universe beyond which we cannot go. And so it is innermost to everything. It is fundamental to everything, without which that thing cannot be. That is Sarvantara. And Avikriya, no modification. You don't think that Bhagavan is not thick in the temple. In the temple, Bhagavan is more present. There in that club, he is not present. That place is devilish. This place is divine. No modifications. See, here, there he is thinned out, here he is thickened. That reality is one uniform, unadulterated, unchanging reality. Because to become thick here and thin there, he has to modify. Avikriya. So Bhagavan gives these words for this one word in the mantra. What is the one word? Shanta Atmani. Shanta Atma. Describing, in other words, even at this stage, he knows what? This intellect will still have questions. What is this Shanta Atma? So all of these words are now still things for the intellect to chew. As I was telling all of this. Because you will not be able to sit. The intellect has to go on chewing until it's full. Otherwise you'll just go and sit there and just be. But we can't. The intellect still needs things to chew. So chew, no problem. And here's a very nice mantra in number 14, which Tulsidashi also likes very much. Tulsidashi has taken it and put in Uttarkant in his own form. Now, I don't know how to chant this thing, because every line has a different number of syllables. No two lines has same number. So, and very famous Swami Vivekananda also used to like. It's a very famous mantra. Utishtata Jagrata Prapya Vara Nibodhata Kshurasya Thara Nishita Duratyaya Durga Pathastat Kavayo Vadanti. That was not chanting, I was just reading. I just read it to do. Utishthara Jagrata, arise, awake. And then Prapya Varan means you approach the most adorable ones, great gurus, rishis, mahatmas, saints, sages who sit there peacefully, those who have realized the Shanta Atma. Approach them. Prapya Varan, Nibodhata, and know this reality. Know the reality, that is the idea. Then Kshirasya Dhara Nishita Duratyaya. It is this path is duratya, very difficult to travel. Path is very difficult to travel, difficult to obtain. Durga pataha tat kavayaha vadanti. Rishis, wise ones, they say very difficult because what? Kshirasya dhara. Nishita, it's like the sharpened edge of a sword. Not only the sword already has this sharpened edge, sharp edge, but the sharpened. So difficult. Keeping the mind on this reality all the time is not an easy thing. The mind quickly gets distracted there, and then have you seen? You're reading, and you read several paragraphs, and you realize you don't remember anything you read because your mind was something. Though you were reading, the mind had gone somewhere else. Then you pull it back. And you go back and read now again. Like that. So how hard it is to keep that mind there. Jnana Pantha. Tulsidas says it is like the edge of a sword. Kripan. Kirpan, when the discussion about Jnana comes in Uttarakhand, you'll see Kakushali is telling to Garud. You'll see there. So he takes this line, and Swami Vivekananda takes the first line. Swami Vivekananda takes the first line, and the third line is taken by Tulsidashi. So Swami Vivekananda very nicely takes because of a certain reason. And here is where we now see. Sometimes we tell, time is running out. Time is running out. So you better get up and get going. So when we use that type of language, we're just trying to, like the rishis are trying to bring people on the path of mukti. That type of language is used to bring people on the path of mukti. Like there's an aggressive sales campaign, right? And that's it. One fellow, he went there to, in this Christian, what do you call that, religion, they have one Saint Peter fellow is there. You have heard that name? When you die, you go there and you meet that Saint Peter. Saint Peter will tell you, okay, you go to hell or you go to heaven, like that. He is the arbiter. What is it? Chitragupt. So Saint Peter is sitting there, this fellow goes there and he says, okay, Saint Peter said, well, we have a special today. Today's special is on. What is that? We give you a tour of heaven and tour of hell, and you can choose which one you want. So he goes to that hell first, gave a tour, but everybody is singing and dancing and having a nice time, and so many different things to eat and this and that. Oh, bapre. He thought it was very nice. I never knew hell was so good. Then he took him to the heaven. And there he saw only all of them flying around with wings and some playing harp. Just sitting around doing nothing. The thing looks boring. Who wants to? And they had nice music and everything is going on there. He told that Saint Peter, okay, I want to go back there. So he took him back there. When he took him there, now he saw fire and brimstone and all, kumbi paka and burning and boiling ghee and all sorts of things he saw. And that He said, what is this? When you brought me for the tour previously, everything was so nice. He said, that was the advertisement. With the advertisement, everything is always nice, you see. So, look here. Bhagavan also tells, Rajavidya Rajguhyam Pavitramidam Uttamam. You can't go and tell anybody, look, I'll give you some knowledge. I don't know, this is beggar's knowledge. You have to tell the kingly knowledge, you have to tell, isn't it? I'll give you some knowledge. You cannot go and tell, I don't know if it will be of any use, but take it. You have to tell, like I said, Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam, a supreme secret. You can't go and tell, okay, I'm going to tell you an open secret. Supreme secret. These are all instances where the Rishi tradition tries to encourage this person to study this knowledge, because if he doesn't, the same fellow will come back and tell that Rishi, oh great Guru, I have so much sorrow, please help me. He knows this same man will come back there. So he is encouraging him to take up the path of mukti, because that is the only way he'll get rid of his sorrow. Otherwise, next day he'll come back again, he'll bother this Rishi, please jhare me. Jharu urat, when they take that turn. Every day he'll keep coming there. So he wants to give him a permanent solution for this problem. So the scriptures do engage in this sort of thing by telling, it is urgent. You have to do it. So the urgency is there in the first line in this. There's what I'm trying to tell. There's an urgency there. Utishta, Jagrata, how is an urgency? Because look, in the morning time, do you get up and then wake up, or do you wake up and then get up? You cannot be sleeping and get up. Isn't it? First you have to wake up, then get up. But see the line. Utishta, when you're sleeping, you stand up. That means to say something bad must have happened. Isn't it? When there's a fire in the house, you cannot go and tell that the son, beta, there's a fire, if you don't get up here, you will get into trouble. Who will do that? If there's a fire, sleeping or waking you, the urgency is there. So, Utishta Jagrata, Jagrata comes second. There's an urgency. This jiva, if you don't do this thing, the words are arranged to just show the urgency. That there is constant sorrow, birth and death. Again and again. Rounds of samsara. And then how to achieve it now? Well, approach the teachers, gurus, saints, sages, prapya vara nibodhata, know this reality. And then the rest of it, of course, tells. It is a very difficult part. See, Tulsidas is making a case there, so he uses that. That really the path of... He's making a case for bhakti. So he takes a few verses and talks about jnana. And he tells very clearly Vedantic jnana also, Upanishadic jnana. That the self is there, and it is veiled by ignorance and this and that, he tells nicely. But then, he said, this path is very difficult. That's why on the path of jnana, the numbers are always small. Path of bhakti, big numbers. So, this is because it is very difficult to tread. Then, that reality is shown now. How this subtle reality is to be known. That is being said in this next verse. See. No, it's a longer meter. Ashabdamasparshamarupamayayam tatharasam nityamagandavachayat anadyanantam mahata param dhruvam. Nichayatan mrityumukhat pramuchyate. Ashabdamasparsham. Arupam, the self is being described in all of these words, ashabdam. It is not made up of, or in it there is no sound, it is not made up of sound. It is not all the five sense objects. It is free from all the five sense objects, and it is avyayam. All five are given, huh? Shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, which you have heard of, of course. So in that, it means you cannot see the self, you cannot smell the self, you cannot taste the self. That is the idea. Tatharasam nityam agandhavat. Nityam agandhavat. Yat cha chayat means it is nitya and cannot be smelled. So the two words which are operable there, avyaya and nitya. Those are the Vedantic words. See, it is unseen, unheard. So the negative characterization. But the other two characterization, they are avyaya also is negative. Nitya is positive. Not this, not this, not this, but it is this. Like that's positive. So nitya, it is eternal. Eternal means it was there, is there, and will always be there. It is from this fundamental teaching is derived all the teaching of Vedanta. Vedanta, Sanatana Dharma, actually, Sanatana Dharma rests on this only. And from this you can reconstruct your Sanatana Dharma and rid yourself of all of the wrong understanding which we have. We all think like Christians. The universe and reality have always been there. They were not created by anybody. This is the meaning of the word Nitya. Nitya means has always been there. And in a Nitya reality, the Nitya universe has always been there. That's Bhagavan is telling to Arjuna, I have always been there, you have always been there, these kings have always been there, and we shall always be there also. All things have always been there. There is no coming into being of any new thing, or no going out of being of any old thing. All things are always there. It is just that things are there in an unmanifest state, they come into a manifest state, and then they again go into unmanifest. Sanatana Dharma does not admit of creation. There is no such thing. These are all words given, wrong translations given to Sanskrit words. And all of this is based on Nitya, one word. So I'm telling you from this word you can reconstruct all of the basic and fundamental teachings of Sanatana Dharma. This reality is described as Nitya and cannot be seen, touched, tasted, and all of this. Anadi, Anantam, beginning, see this word. This is the Nitya also. Anadi, Ananta, beginningless and endless. No. Swamiji, how Brahmaji is the creator, then he creates everything now. Brahmaji is not the creator. Wrong word, wrong translation. Brahmaji is the one who brings things from the state of unmanifest into the state of manifest. So it's not really creating anything. He's just bringing from that state to this state. And Bhagavan Shiva also doesn't destroy anything. He just sends things from the state of manifest to the state of unmanifest. Because this idea was not present, this idea is not present, not was, is not present in Western thought. And you have a Westerner who is going to translate something in Sanskrit, and if he doesn't have the idea, then what he'll translate? He'll translate into an idea which he has. Another idea. The whole idea is not there in West. And then we all sing his song. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh is the creator, sustainer, and destroyer. We have to get into a very aggressive campaign of correcting all our terminologies. Because the terminologies matter. They make us think in a certain way. Na sato vidyate bhavaha, na bhavo vidyate sataha. Whatever is, and cannot not be, and what is not cannot be. Right? It means everything is already there in the universe. You can't bring anything or take anything. What a wonderful and reassuring concept. Now, nobody can take you out. Nobody can take me out. I'm always there. So, this reality is being described as that anadi, beginningless it is. Without beginning and endless, without end. And every other thing I'm telling you. Ataha param dhruvam. Beyond this Hiranyagarbha, which was spoken about previously. Nichaya tat mrityumukhat pramuchyate. Realizing that only I am saved from the jaws of death. Only realizing this reality I am saved from the jaws of death. Jaws of death, why it is described as Ghora Shabda. It is described in such words because this is the what do you call mortal fear of a jiva. Jiva is afraid of this, afraid of that, afraid of many things, but death, oh. Not only that, he's afraid of other people's death also. What do you talk about his own death? So he says, realizing that reality only, I am saved from the jaws of death. That is the idea. Huh? Then Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, the next verse is Stuti only. Prastutha Vijnana Stutyartam Aha Shruti. Shruti said, the knowledge which has been presented, Prastutha, the knowledge which has been presented so far in this chapter, this mantra is given here by Rishi to praise that knowledge. That is the idea. So what is the mantra? See now. Nachiketamupakyanam mrityuproptam sanatanam uktva shrutva cha medhavi brahmaloke mahiyate. Nachiketa upakyanam. This upakyanam means this upakyanam means an anecdote or metaphor, that kind of thing. Upakyanam, example, or that kind of thing. Huh? Which is in Nachiketa anecdote which is given, Mrityu Proktam, told by Bhagavan Yamaraj. Told by Yamaraj, which is Sanatanam, eternal. So eternal Sanatanam will go with Upakyanam, eternal anecdote given by Bhagavan Yama to Nachiketa. He says, Uktva Shrutva cha medhavi. The wise man who hears it, or Uktva Shrutva, tells it, such a person, Brahmaloke mahiyate. He becomes great, well-known, famous, also from Mahiyate, in the realm of Brahma. Realm of Brahma? Well, that can mean many things. But the idea is the knowledge which is given by Yamaraj to Nachiketa, that is being praised, that the person who tells it, or the person who listens to it, that kind of thing, that person will be well on his way to the realm of Brahma, reality. Brahma means reality. Huh? Either he is there, or he is getting there, or he is on his way there, like that kind of thing. He becomes well-known. Well-known in that, the translation which is given here, glorified in the region that is Brahman. He becomes glorified. I mean, even to speak it or to listen to it also. Like how all of you are listening to Upanishad. Just to listen. He becomes glorified means other people in the world will say also, they're really dedicated to this Vedanta thing, you know. They're really dedicated to this Vedanta stuff. They're serious about mukti. So if you're listening even, and it means that you're well on your way to that realization. That is the idea. And that last mantra, he tells, Yaimam paramam kuhyam shravayet brahma samsadi prayata shraddha kaleva tadanan tadanantyaya kalpate. Yaimam paramam guhyam shravayet, who causes it to be heard. Who, it means who makes this thing be heard. And two times again, two places. Which places? Brahma Samsadi, among an assembly of Brahmanas, or among an assembly of knowers of Brahman, all that. Actually, in the Upanishadic tradition, Brahmana and knower of Brahman are used interchangeably. So this is Brahma Samsadi means like that. Prayata, after becoming Prayataha, becoming purified. So the person after becoming purified, he makes this be heard in an assembly of Brahmanas, knowers of Brahman, or Shraddha Kali, at the time of a Shraddha. Shraddha, you know, Anteshti Sanskar, what they do and all, offerings to the departed ones and all. Shraddha Kale va tad anantyaya kalpate. Tad anantyaya, oh, it is repeated, I didn't tell. It means the person who does this, make it be heard. Then how to make it be heard? Means you have to chant it, recite it. That person who does that in these two places, these two times, that person makes himself more fit for realization, for enlightenment, for eternal results. Eternal result means enlightenment. There's only one thing which is eternal. Na? Ekam Sat. One Sat. So he makes himself more fit, ready, and all of that for that realization. So even the chanting of it in the right places, that is the idea. Now you see why we chant. And people are, how it will make him fit? You can put the recorder to chant. The recorder will become fit for mukti or what? So I'll tell you. See, the tradition, Vedic tradition, is a tradition of metered lines. And please don't take this science lightly. Metered lines, chanda, tell how many syllables will be there, and which syllable will be long, and which syllable will be short, in which position and all that, right? That is given as the first teaching when we go to Gurukul. In Gurukul, the Guru teaches all this chanting. The student doesn't know what he is chanting. He taught only chanting, recitation. Because of the ordering of number of syllables and ordering of short, long, whatever it has to be in certain places, that orders our disheveled mind, this mind which is all the time like that. You know, that mind doesn't have an order. We just think back and forth, swishing the thoughts this way, swishing the thoughts this way, up, down, every direction. That mind doesn't have, it is not neatly packed. But these meters are neatly packed with a perfect order. So the constant chanting of the mantras help first to order the mind, to make it neatly packed. So that when the knowledge is given later on, that knowledge, you see, if you have your big suitcase like this, and you throw everything in there, when you're looking for something, where you will get it? But if there's an order in there, in that suitcase, you, without looking also, you will be able to put your hand and pull out. There's an easier way to do that. Like, for example, when you have to dress, you have to open your closet a few times. When I have to dress, I look that side, just pull it. Because all will be same. So that is one way, but here, if it is neatly, when you have a variety, when you have a variety of things, you have to, pack nicely. Then only when you're looking for that particular object, you will get it. So there's chanting of mantras. So now this last verse is telling about chanting of mantras only, in the right place and right time and all of that sort of thing. He makes himself fit. That is the idea. All right. So it does this, then it does one more thing, I'll tell you, this chanting. If you meet Ramaswamy on the road, and you say, the first time you're seeing Ramaswamy, how much money do you have in the bank? If you ask him, Ramaswamy will either give you one thappar, or Ramaswamy will give you an insult. One of the two you will get. Huh? But I tell you, if you meet Ramaswamy on the road and you tell, Namaste, Hari Om, good morning, how are you? And you strike up a conversation, and slowly you get to know each other, and you invite him to Starbucks, and after some time you have coffee and all of that. And then you tell him, I make good chai and garlic bread. Please come there. You tell him, please come there, I will. Like that. Then you become some good close friends, and after some time, you don't have to ask him how much money you have in the bank. He will tell you by himself. Correct or not? So the chanting of these mantras and all of that, they bring a great degree of familiarity and closeness. So much so that if it is done properly with the right bhav and everything, those mantras reveal their meaning. Actually, even if you don't do it that much, this is the first level of familiarity. Like when you're now telling him good morning, hello, how are you, there's a level of familiarity, and that thing gets closer and closer. So the chanting has that also. It brings us close to the Shastra, and so that later on when the Guru tells that meaning, that thing immediately strikes up something, because you are familiar, Like when you're talking some topic with somebody and you're familiar, and then they tell, oh yes, really I had seen like that. The familiarity was there. So the chanting is encouraged. That therefore we have parayana of chanting of scriptures and all that kind of thing. Huh? All right. So this is the end of this chapter, Kathopanishad. Chapter 3 of this first section. And the best thing is to sit down and go inside. Upanishads are meant for that only. Sit down and go inside. All right. Okay. We will see then when we next time Upanishads and all. Okay. All right. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. We'll see in the evening.